chatter and scribble, my pencils in hand as we draw. We chat, it's a wonderland. Colors collide, imagination so grand. Travel, draw, let's take a stand. Thoughts come, darkness creases, shadows grow tall. Different heartbeats loud in the hall. Scars from the past, they whisper, they call.
Before we get started fully, I have to note a few things. One, the case that we will be talking about tonight is still not anything rock solid, but it will touch upon subjects tonight for viewers that are going to be very adult in nature, involving issues with drugs and sex, and we're just going to be talking about it. By no means are we accusing anybody of anything. This is us giving our opinion about this situation, and suggestions. That's about it. So, we're not going to get into the gritty details of the case, and we'll leave the legal stuff to the lawyers. So, but we will touch a little bit on the legal representation. So, with that all done, let's get on with the actual art. So there's no hiding the subject of tonight's stream. Nick Rekeita, a YouTube lawyer, not for YouTube, but a lawyer on YouTube. I knew him from the Vic Mignogna case back in 2017, 2016, somewhere around there. That's where Nick kind of got its start. I think he literally started streaming with the Vic case. From anime fans, you know, the origins. Vic being the voice of Elric in Full Metal Alchemist, which for the longest time #1 anime of all time, according to my anime list. But yeah, that case didn't end up well for either Nick or Vic. I don't know why this page has been crooked. It's crooked. I'll leave it. I'll leave it as it is. I'm fine with it. But yeah, that's when I learned of Nick years ago. I've not had any interactions with him. I am not in the same state. And yeah, basically, we're going to be covering some issues as a person who's involved with family members who both use drugs, one that dealt drugs, and also other members that unfortunately died of drug use. This isn't all about drug use, but very much the case with Nick that's building is about the drug use and the swingers sex club. It's not just swingers. Let's leave it that. There's more details. We could go into gritty detail, but Nick was in a sexual relationship with another man's wife, along with his own wife. Yeah, it kinda, having watched videos on Nick from people that claim to be his friend, all I can say is they're like, yeah, there's a serious self-destruction case going here, and it's easy to be self-destructive. Hell, I'd almost say everybody has the potential, given the right circumstances, to become self-destructive. And it doesn't have to be through drugs. It can be through sex. It can be through addictions to legal stuff like video game playing. Diabetes is a self-destructive path of food. The issue is, in Nick's case, when you have children. So Nick has several children. I think, I can't vouch for how many, but I think somebody quoted me 5 children. But when you have addiction plus children, neglect comes into play. And once neglect comes into play, it's only a matter of time before, Child Protective Services is brought and involved. And that's what's happening here. And the way Nick's been handling things since the arrest has made it only worse. Apparently he's called out the Child Protective Services agent in charge of his case. And is just more self-destruction going since they got out of jail and since on bail. You see this. I mean, the sad thing, the truth is, you see this a lot of times with famous people because they get famous, they get their head inflated, and lo and behold, issues arrive. And Nick's even covered some of these cases. So, I mean, Nick made his name, like I said, with the Vic Mignogna issue, but it turned into more of an issue, or more fame for him, when it came down to the Depp versus, what was his girlfriend's name? Honestly, let's see here. I'm gonna look up the case here. So, let's see. Yeah, Amber Heard. Okay, and the Kyle Rittenhouse case. So, he basically covered those on YouTube, made a name for himself, and was more involved with the Vic case because he was giving Vic legal advice. He was being, I think he was even the representative for Vic at the beginning. And unfortunately for Vic, he was destroyed, career-wise, by an early Me Too, that he was one of the first victims of Me Too. Now, that being said, I don't believe Vic was ever found guilty of an actual crime. There's a lot of hearsay, but there was no actual crime there. Drawing a moment of humor for the main character of Demon Blade, Tetsu, and it's kind of hard to keep a straight face with this. But yeah, it's, when you talk about what usually brings down a lot of celebrities. It's drugs and sex. And when you start seriously going into the pink elements of the world, of sex, the two go pretty hand in hand, and become really, really destructive. And you're doing it because you want to feel that high, that good feeling. And the subject of the drugs we're going to be talking about, it's not pot, although alcohol has been part of the problem here. It's cocaine. And when cocaine comes in the picture, you're not talking a light high. You're talking the big drug trips, even on the weaker drugs or takes of cocaine. Somebody like cut it with something crappy like baby powder or something. Well, technically that's dangerous, I believe, because it's talcum powder being cut in with. The whole thing's dangerous. Don't do drugs. Seriously. So basically, the case sitting here is Nick and his wife fell into a crowd fell into a relationship with two people, another married couple, that probably introduced them to at least the sexual stuff. The abuse of alcohol and drugs, that's harder to say. Because I don't have the full details of the individual, but we will talk about them as we get into it. And this is me kind of just coming up with this concept today about noon to cover this, because I was listening to Some Ordinary Podcast, and the subject came up, and they talked about the stuff parts that I was not aware of. I knew the Nick was having problems. I didn't know it was this bad. And I hate to say it, he's not the first, and he won't be the last VTuber, or YouTuber, not VTuber, YouTuber, to go down this path. It really won't. He's just in a very chaotic situation. And it's newsworthy. It's notable to talk about. And my choice is tonight to talk about this summer in general, because it's freaking hot as heck outside. Or to talk about politics, and I try to stay away from the politics. For multiple reasons. You guys don't want me talking about politics. I don't want me talking about politics. So we're not going to talk about politics. Next week, I already know what our subject's going to be. It's going to be about America. So, because it's the 4th, we'll talk about it. But coming to this subject is like, I really want to approach this appropriately, because I don't know fully where individuals lie. I do know Nick's been on some more right-leaning, and this is about as close as I'm going to get to politics, shows. Talk shows and whatnot. And with just cause. I mean, the man was a lawyer, and you talk to a lawyer, and when you want to deal with something case-wise, Nick was that kind of person. Now, the problem being is the fame. It's the fame. The fame got to Nick, clearly, and became a crutch to seek out ways to handle that fame. And between the sex, the alcohol abuse, and the drugs. And we could say he allegedly used drugs. But there is no allegedly of the drugs being in his home, because one of the parts we've got to hit involves his children having drugs in their system. So it's a problem. It's a serious problem. And it's more of a problem. And the best way to put this is Nick went the route of Saul Goodman from Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul. He let the fame get to him, and it destroyed him. And it's going to continue to destroy him. He's not done yet. But he needs to reach that point if he wants to survive, and if he ever wants to see his kids again. Because I can tell you right now, with what's being reported, if it is true, those kids are being taken away, and he may never see them again. Because when you get drugs mixed in with child care, it's an instant get them out of the situation with it, with them, with the authorities. Trying to think of the words. I mean, I'm coming in as pretty blind myself. Like I said, I only knew Nick from a few of the cases he talked about and one he represented it. The problem being is, again, YouTube fame. I mean, there are some people that can handle fame, some people can't. And clearly, Nick and his wife may be that problem. They may not be able to handle fame. They've definitely damaged his viewership. There's no problem, or there's no doubt in my mind about that. I'm trying to be very careful. This stream is, it's, you know, I could be sued if I say the wrong things here. And I really, I mean, we need to be careful, but also keep in mind the world is a mess right now, and it's not going to be unheard of to see a lot of people break from this. And I'll tell you where my experience is. So I said, I had a family member who sold drugs. I had another family member who took drugs, destroyed her mom's life, and destroyed her own life, and then died because she just could not let go of the drugs. She was just too obsessed with it. And then I have two family members who have used drugs in the past. I don't know if they're currently using, but it did be an issue in their life that is very self-destructive. Again, I mean, the whole concept of tonight's stream is confronting self-destruction. I'm not a therapist. I am just a person who had my own self-destruction and still have my own self-destruction. Like I said, we all have self-destruction. Mine is not alcohol. Mine is not drugs. Mine is more, well, food. Food is a self-destructive for me. It's not like I'm eating a lot of food, but I'm almost diabetic. I've been hugging that line for a while. So, yeah, I've got a self-destructive path myself there. I'm also a little bit addicted to video games. I've not let it run my life, but when I have a free moment, I'm likely playing a video game. Which, by the way, Friday, if I can't get Stardew to work, so we're going to try Stardew again. If I cannot get Stardew working like it was, so we're not restarting the entire farm, we will be playing Final Fantasy VII, the original one. But in a new way. New graphics, new story elements. But still, Final Fantasy VII. So that's what's on lineup for our stream coming up. You'll also note that I'm doing some changes to the looks of the stream. There'll be a new ending as we close off. And we have a new look during the stream beginning. I don't know what else will come out of it. We'll work on it. But I mean, it's, again, another addiction of mine. I'm addicted to work. I really am. I go and work an 8-hour job, come home, work on more stuff. If I'm not working, I'm playing video games or doing some cleaning of my household. At one point, I was addicted to mess. I literally was a hoarder. I got over that by realizing the crap that was making me be a hoarder. But yeah, I mean, you've got to confront your issues to get better on the issues. And sadly, from what I heard from a friend of his, or someone who claims to be a friend of Nick's, Nick isn't doing that. He's seeming to continue down the self-destructive path. And he's going to be his own lawyer. And the famous saying, a fool that has himself as a lawyer is doomed. What is it? Oh no, a person who has himself as a lawyer is an idiot for a lawyer. So, or a fool for a lawyer. So, I mean, it literally will be coming down to, can he save himself and his wife from jail at this point? Because right now, it doesn't look good. But yeah. So, I'm trying to be careful also with family members on this. I'll talk about the one that did die. Because she's dead, her mom's dead. And it was her doing. I think she was on meth at one point. But she was not a good result of a person in many ways. She was mentally or deficient in a sense. Best way I can put it these days. And she fell into the wrong crowd and never really got out of it. And she would not clean anything in her mother's home, lived with her mom, and it got to the point where hoarding was terrible in the situation. It was to the point where it was amazing that two people could be in that house. And when they cleaned out the trash, when the family finally cleaned out the trash and got everything settled, a lot of the stuff that would have normally been there, like the washer and dryer, they weren't there anymore. They were sold to get drugs. And my family had to be like, look, you've almost killed your mother, and eventually her mother does die. Both of old age and pretty much just the condition she was in definitely hurt her health-wise. But her daughter continued to be a downfall. Once her mother died, she literally stole a TV from her mother's room. She was not supposed to take anything because we knew what she would do with it. She would run off with the drugs, or run off and get drugs, and ruin her life some more. And she continued to do that until she died. She just would hammer my family, my direct family, who were basically the guardianship for her. And when she ultimately died, there weren't really any tears at that point with the family, because it was like, we knew she was going this route. She refused to turn around, and she died. Now, bringing that into the case today, well, let's get into this a little bit. More detail. So let's bring up the case. Alright. Let me pull it up on my end so I can read it. Alright. So, Dick Rekeita, Minnesota lawyer, YouTuber, found facing drug charge. Now, this was a month ago. It was just a drug charge a month ago. It's gotten worse. Basically, Nick, his wife Kayla, and the woman he was shacking up with that stayed in his home, were arrested with cocaine in the household and guns, alcohol, and neglected children. The children were reported by some to have gone days without clean clothes, without eating, and it's like, the dude's a lawyer. How is that possible? But, so, according to the charges, law enforcement attempted to execute a search warrant on May 23rd in Rekeita's home in Spicer. It was greeted by a girl on the front door who would not let them in. After Rekeita refused to provide the door code, law enforcement used a door ram to get inside and found Kayla, Imahot, and 4 juveniles, that's 4 kids, inside. Law enforcement proceeded to search the master bedroom and bathroom, where they allegedly found the drug paraphernalia, including 3 small baggies that tested positive for cocaine, 8 green tablets that tested positive for ketamine, and a digital scale tested positive for cocaine, claiming the charges. Alright. Years ago, I worked in an arts, craft, and hobby store. One of the things we had that we ended up having to put behind lock and key, because it got stolen all the time, was postal scales. Because the only people looking for postal scales are for the drug. If there was a postage fan that actually collects stamps and needed one, sure, I believe that. But I guarantee you, every single person I sold a scale to, it was for drugs. There's no other reason. But when we're talking about endangering children, and this is the part of it that makes it worse. You are endangering children's lives. And while they kind of go into this part here saying, okay, he has nearly 150,000 followers on Twitter and 450 subscribers on YouTube. Again, this was a month ago, so some of those numbers may have changed. Here's more on the Reddit. We'll go into a little bit more with that. The problem, though, the neglect with the children, records on welfare. It came out, one of the children, the 9-year-old daughter of Nick, tested positive for cocaine. The 9-year-old. I don't know many elementary school students that are out there really having a rough time, need to get high on cocaine at night. I mean, there's gateway drugs, and then there's just busting down the door drugs. And cocaine's if you start on cocaine, that's busting down the door. It's not a gateway. That's, you're doing the hard stuff. And the reason why I say I don't think it's this MOA, Alice MOA is the name of the other woman. I don't think it's just her, because from listening to cases with friends talking, they're like, oh, you know, he talked about how if you really want to lose weight, you have cocaine and a ramen noodle cup at 3 in the morning. That's all you eat. It's like, no, that's destroying yourself. Some people have been trying to defend Nick, rightfully so. I mean, if you come to his side, that's fine. It's important. But it's important to note, a lot of people were saying, oh, well, he got that way because of Ozempic. And Ozempic, you can drop 70 pounds in 3 months. No. Ozempic's to lose weight. 70 pounds, not unless you're like 400 pounds. Okay? 70 pounds in 3 months is deadly in weight loss. You are denying food or something, but you run the risk of malnutrition severely at that point. And Ozempic doesn't do that. Microl. Let me pull it up. Puts a little shy. You should learn. Okay. But yeah, so it's not Ozempic. The people can say it. I mean, it's the go-to drug for people to try and lose weight right now. But it runs dangers. I was on Ozempic for about like 4 or 5 months back in 2021 and 22. I had to go off of it because of my stomach issues. Because my stomach issues with it basically comes out to be like a solid brick of dangerous health issues. So to kind of be like, oh, well, it's because he's been taking Ozempic and his wife's on Ozempic. No. That is 100% cocaine, crack, weight loss. Maybe a little bit of just living off of the alcohol, but then you'd have the alcohol belly, or the beer belly, as people say. So, the pictures, and we can show some pictures here. So, this is them 62 weeks ago. Healthy, looking fine. This is them 10 weeks ago. Alright? She's looking skinny. He's looking gaunt here too. 3 weeks ago. Now, this was a month ago that was posted. They've lost a lot of weight. You can also see in their eyes the exhaustedness, the bags under their eyes. And another thing to note, again, the bags under eyes. Not prevalent. Those occur when you basically are causing lack of sleep. More and more likely, it's from taking drugs and getting high and not giving your body time to rest and relax. I mean, another good example, and I don't want to go into politics, but one of these charges, the charge of him having a gun with drugs, is the same thing Hunter Biden is gone through, and currently was found guilty of recently in the law, was having a drug and drugs in his possession and being a user and having a gun in his possession. I feel Hunter's is just as bad, if not worse, because Biden very much is letting his son just be on the self-destructive path, and it doesn't seem to be doing anything to stop it. Nick needs family and friends to really be like pushing him and like, no, Nick, get help. And it's good to hear fans and some family members say, yes, here's the problem. You are suffering from the problem. But instead of going to YouTube and making proclamations about what's going on, help the man. Get him the help he needs to put down the cocaine, to put down the bottle. I mean, again, the kids are going to be suffering the worst from it. And there's no easy way to put it there. It really is. There's not going to be a nice way for them to be like, oh, well, we have everything going our way again. Or if only this case... this case came about because people in the society saw how his kids were, how badly their health was, that they weren't... I mean, the number one way people get caught and lose their kids is because somebody finds out about their kids being in a bad situation. I don't know if that's a tattoo. Let me see. Okay, it's gotta be a tattoo. Okay, I'm seeing red spots on Nick's wife on the Reddit post, and I was like, is that damaged or no? The issue here is you've got 3 adults, at least 3. I don't know about Alice's husband, because apparently they are also YouTubers of some notoriety, and basically they need to also have this sort of, a lot of people call it a coming to God moment, but it's not a coming to God moment. It's more confronting yourself in the damage you've done. I've talked about it before. Before I came out, I was a rageaholic. I was always raging. Pissed off. I got ugly. I still, from time to time, if somebody really pisses me off, number one way by stealing money from me, I'm gonna get pissed. Really, really darkly pissed. But I'm also going to get depressed because I have a problem with rage. And the only way I found dealing about that rage is to confront that rage. And confront why I was raging so much. So a lot of mine was me not being accepting of myself. Once I came out as trans, once I opened up to my family and friends, I definitely became a much happier person, less self-destructive. Have I had self-destructive situations since? Yes. But most of those have been situational. One being a victim of a con artist, the other about basically having my health decline to a point to where I was, in 2021 summer, right around this time, there was a debate if I'd be able to walk without a walker, because I had lost nerves or nerve sensitivity or anything in my left side. And that was what puzzled them, is because it was just the left side. Normally nerve damage occurs in multiple places, not a singular side.
In a world of sucker
So, I don't know if they've gotten help yet. I do pray that Nick and his wife, what is it? Yeah, Nick, his wife, and Aaron and April Imholt. I hope all four of them get help, get some serious help, and take this as a wake-up call to get away from the destruction they were on. But we can't just blame the drugs. So, what they were into sexually kind of helped push things. They come from a very... The only way I can say it, it's hard to say it online without me getting into trouble, but we're already in touchy subject, so if YouTube removes this, oh well. It'll be on Twitter, so, and Rumble, so those will both be fun. But it's cuckery. I don't know which of the two males, if it was Nick or Aaron, that were into the cuckery, but in order to do cuckery in that sense, you gotta be into it. And so the self-destructiveness in that it can be safe or it can be destructive. And it's not just cuckery. It's also masochism. A little bit. Sadism, masochism involved. I would not be surprised if a lot of these alleged tasks are put in this case. I was informed today with researching this about a device I never knew existed. And I've had to draw a lot of adult content. I've not known this until I literally listened to some ordinary podcast this morning. But apparently there is a device that men can attach to the dangly bits. And it acts like a second member. The dangly bits are very sensitive, and balls. I'll say balls. Balls are fine. They're very sensitive. I can't imagine how painful that device should be. Now, do I feel sympathetic that this is not right, that stuff's coming out, or could it be completely made up? Yes. But apparently this device is not made up. I can honestly say, not my kink. Kim and I want to get rid of those things. But at the same time, you can't just say, okay, well, it doesn't lead down to more degradation. And again, it's the combination. It's the drugs, the alcohol, and the sex stuff sort of brings in the combination of decline in one's life. There are people that live and die off of sex, and they love having it, but at the same time, it can be very destructive. I mean, disease-wise alone could be destructive. But it can ruin your life in other ways. If you're a family person like Nick here, apparently his wife must be into it because they're sticking together, but they're losing their children because of it. They're going to jail because of it. And that's... It hurts. It really kind of hurts to talk about that and not see the path is just continuing. And the reason why I say it's continuing is he came out apparently out of jail the other day, couple days ago or so. He got out of jail and did a YouTube video where he called out, again, the agent and the child protective case. And it looks like he just wants to accept that he's getting screwed, which, in a legal sense, yes, he's kind of going to be screwed. But it's a lot of it is his doing, his wife's doing. This woman, April, her doing. Maybe Aaron as well, I don't know. I don't know how April's husband, Aaron, fits into this, if he got arrested. All I heard about the arrests were Nick, his wife, and April, not Aaron, getting arrested. So you have the three of them in jail, and they're trying to do their own legal representation through Nick, and it's hard to say that there's any chance of Nick proving his point and surviving this. There is a way. I'm sure. But a lot of it is going to be hard to go forth with about. And ultimately, again, the main problem is they need to come out, admit their problem, and seek help for their problem. And the drug problem, it's shown. And we can see it. The drugs were found. The drugs are in bodies of a child in their care. In the bodies. I don't know if the bodies of Nick, Aaron, April, or his wife, which was I forget her name. I know it starts with a K. But I'm not surprised that they're sort of fighting it, and they're trying to do the government's to blame. And government is to blame for a lot of things. But your drug habit is not the government's fault. It is solely on your fault, and until you come clean with yourself about your problem, you're never going to heal. You're never going to return to a sense of normality in life. And it's the downfall. I mean, I deal with paternity cases and adoptions for a state, and a lot of the cases of adoptions is this child was in a bad situation with a home, be it natural born parents or otherwise, and they're put into the adoption system. And sometimes they get better homes, sometimes they don't. Often, in this kind of case, you'll see the children get adopted by family members. I have a family member currently going through this. That they're going to be adopting another family member, their children, or their child. Because it comes down to responsibility of being an adult. When you become adult, when you have children, you're an adult. It doesn't matter your age. What matters is trying to get and treat the child the way they need to be treated. Not basically destroying yourself in front of the child and making that child suffer. I had another good example. We're in summer, so we're at the peak of childhood deaths from locked cars or being in cars in the heat. It's a disgusting number. And I can only imagine how devastating it is to a family, an individual who left their kid in the car and they lost their kid's life because they just left their kid in the car. Yeah, there have been some cases where like, oh, well, I didn't know the kid was in the car. More often it's you weren't paying attention. You left your kid, you left your animal. Because animals die that way too. In the car. When it's 80 out or 90 out. And people are like, oh, it's not a problem. They can handle that. No, because when it's 80 outside, it's another 20 degrees inside a locked car. So 80 would be 100. 90 would be around 110. And it can get even hotter depending if it's in direct sunlight or not. And oxygen, when it gets hot, becomes very spread out. It's harder to breathe in heat than people realize. And as an asthmatic, I can definitely vouch. The worst time of year for any asthmatic is the summer. Spring's also bad because of the pollen or mold in fall. Winter, it may hurt to breathe, but summer's the disaster month. When you have health issues, summer would pretty much be the worst month to do much activities related to that. So, impacting that issue and putting an animal or a child in danger because you left them in the car for so much reason. People can be like, oh, I was only going to run in and get one little thing. That one little thing could be life or death for the creature. You, or person. you gotta think. And if you're bringing children into the world or adopting children and you forget this stuff, I mean, it's devastating. It's devastating. But, I mean, it happens to all of us. I literally... I think it was today. I read online about a case, either today or yesterday. A gay couple had adopted a child, and within a few hours of having adopted them, the child was dead. Because they were left in a car. And I will say, it wasn't pretty. The reactions people were using in that case. In online media, a lot of people were being ugly for ugly reasons. I hate to say it, we're getting that time in the world where people just want to watch the world burn, and they'll be ugly for ugly reasons. And we get into the whole Israel-Palestine issue. A lot of people are being ugly to one side for one reason, and that tends to be on the Jewish side that is getting the ugly stuff. Then it makes me, as someone who loves to study history and other subjects of science and whatnot, it makes me disturbed, because it means we're getting away from the lessons of the Holocaust. We're getting away from the lessons of destroying others for pure hate. And there's a lot of people these days. It's not just the Palestinian community or Muslim community. It's just people out there hating because they can. And finding a reason to hate. And that's what disturbs me on that. In the case with Nick, I really do. I wish them to get better. I hope that the 3 or 4 of them can get help and not go further down this path where jail isn't going to be the place you're going. The morgue is. And like I said, it's going to come down to it. And we'll probably see it. If not from Nick, from some other YouTuber or somebody else. Their self-destructive nature will bring them down. If you're in a situation where you're in a self-destructive nature, or you feel you're in self-destructive, get some help. Talk to somebody. Be it a friend, be it family, be it a coworker, be it just, well, that's another subject I'm gonna have to get to in one stream, and that'll have more be able to talk about, and that is, I am not a therapist, so don't come to me for certain issues, because I had a very colorful conversation with someone on a social media platform, that decided to be like, hey, and talk to me. And then they decided that I was the person that talking about their sexual interests, but not towards me, towards somebody else. And I didn't need to know that. And it's like, I am not a therapist. I am an artist. I am a writer. I write about people having interests. I write about the problems of those interests. I will not have any good advice. Whenever I write something, I try to do research or, find something that will help give me an idea of what's in front of me when I'm writing, so I can write with some experience. I mean, it's not unheard of. You need to know the subject before you really write it. Unfortunately, a lot of people these days just feel like, oh, well, I'll write about the subject. Sure, I don't know anything. And I mean, I could very much the case with this subject of me today. I knew about the Rekeita issue from a month ago, and now that it's gotten to this point, it's disheartening. It really is disheartening. It's an ugly look at the downfall of fame. It really is. It really is. Fame is a very cruel and destructive beast. It can help you. You can achieve fame and great things can come of it, but it also goes to your head. Now, I mean, I'll use another example of a person. So I'm going to use a person who has both a positive example of with their fame and a negative. And I'll say the negative first off. This person is Tom Cruise. Tom Cruise, of course, is a Scientologist. South Park came out about it, and then joked to the point that Tom tried to sue, I think. I don't think he could sue because it was parody. And of course, him jumping up and down on Oprah's couch and all the years ago and whatnot. That's destructive of him. Now, I can't say anything about if he used drugs or whatnot. The dude, I will say, is amazing as an actor physically. But one of his worst films was Cocktails. And we talked about this a few weeks ago when I said there's an anime out this season that is pretty much the anime version of Cocktails. Cocktails is a romantic movie about a bartender falling in love. It is not a good film. It is bad. But what most people don't know, and I want to pull up the proper terms here. And, I mean, it's been noted before. Okay. So, in the movie, the female lead was played by Elizabeth Shue. Elizabeth was in the scene with Tom, riding horses and whatnot. And they were filming with a helicopter. And they were trying to get the shot. And all of a sudden, Tom Cruise jumps, takes her off the horse, and knocks her to the ground. It was meant to happen, but it happened a lot earlier. And the reason why, she was about really closely to get in the blades of the helicopter. And yeah, her life was saved by Tom. It's not just her life. Tom had saved a few other lives before. So, you have a man who did have a self-destructive nature with the Church of Scientology. They were very destructive in that sense. They did hurt their career a little bit. But Tom also has made sure to be important about saving people's lives. On set, off set. At this point right now, I mean, between him and Keanu Reeves, I think they're probably the best people in Hollywood. Not to bring any politics into it, not to bring any, natures. I mean, Tom's had his issues with his love interests and whatnot. But, I mean, generally, while they are caring people, they are willing to help others out. And it shows. It shows. There's a reason you don't see a real negative light on Tom, despite the Scientology stuff. But it was an example of here's two guys that are famous that it doesn't go to their head. Keanu's the perfect example. It doesn't go to his head. That the man still takes the subway. He goes and helps out people. He eats lunch in the park with other people. It's great. Let's see. Exiod. Hello. Exod. 144. 1414. So, seeing this sort of destructive path that Nick's on, it's hard. It's hard to watch. But it's the train wreck. People are gonna keep watching. Let me redraw that. People are gonna keep paying attention to this case because of the destructive nature. Exod, how's it going, everyone? Hold together. Who is Nick you speak of? This Nick of Nick Rekeita. So, the subject of tonight is about Nick Rekeita, Lawtuber, that has gone the route of drugs and addictions. Let me see here. Let me bring that back up here. So, this is what they look like about 3 months ago. This is what they look like 1 month ago, essentially. A little over a month. Let's see, we've got YouTube? Oh, no, okay, I see. Poor guy. Yeah. It's a destructive path. And the worst part was, they're taking away his kids, his wife and kids his wife is going to jail with him, essentially. But they're taking away his kids because the situation endangered their lives. And the 9-year-old, his 9-year-old girl, had cocaine in their system. So, there's no sort of nice way to get away with it at this point. It's too much of a self-destructive nature. That there's a way to keep the kids, but it's gonna be, yeah, that's terrible. It's very terrible. Nick, as far as I can tell, I mean, the few times I've seen him, or heard him on, you know, beforehand, he seemed like an okay guy, decent guy. I'm not an alcohol drinker, but in fact, there's apparently alcohol's on the way out from Gen Z, from what we're learning. A lot of Gen Z's individuals don't care to go into alcohol, which is strange. It's the easy crutch drug. But cocaine is not the easy crutch drug. It's the I'm doing the hard stuff drug. I mean, meth would be harder, and fentanyl would be, well, you'd be dead. There's not many people that can survive fentanyl. Let's see. Let's see. Try and draw this out properly here. Try and draw this guy's in. We just, it's hard to watch. And like I said, I was stretching for a topic tonight to talk about, and that's what this case is. Fentanyl is the drug you can kill a bunch of people with as much as 10 hits worth. Yes, fentanyl, there's no reason to have fentanyl, really. I don't know how much is about it. That's fine. I think you got close to it. So, I mean, I think it's FENTYNOL, I think. But, it's fine. When I had my nerve damage, they tried to put me on fentanyl. I was like, no. I even say no to Oxy when they try to put it on me for injuries I've had or health pain. They've been like, oh, we'll put you on Oxy. And it's like, no. Yeah, the heck with that. It's those are drugs that are meant for end-of-life treatment. They really are. They're the, you've been in a horrible accident, you're going to be in screaming pain, like every bone is broken, you're on life support. I said no laughing the gas when I got my wisdom teeth removed. NOx, which is laughing gas, not nitrous oxide. It is dangerous, and can have dangerous repercussions, if you take it in high doses. They really don't put you under that much when wisdom teeth is involved, but there is the danger. There's always the danger of any. I mean, I had a fistule removed in March, and I had the danger of dying from that. But what I really had the problem with was they injected a ton of needles to just make my entire lower half numb for about an hour as they cut it off, cut the fistule out, and it hurt. Like the day after, or not even the day after, the day of the surgery, after the pain started, or my feeling came back to my legs, the pain in the back was the worst. Now, the fistule itself was causing me to bleed all the time, and it's not really better in that sense, because I still bleed, but I'm no longer bleeding around the backside. Let's put it that way. As much. I say, as I am bleeding today, and I'm in a lot of pain right now, because I am bleeding internally. So, I mean, I have some health issues that I would not wish on my enemies. Let's kind of move those there. I want to put the guy's head in the ground. So he's flopped. He's going to be flopped this way. And his legs kind of going the bad way. Legs don't go that way. The backpack's going to be like this. Because this poor guy... Let's see. There it is. This poor guy. We're drawing the remnants of that poor guy after that hit. But yeah, it literally comes down to how much damage they've done to their children and what the court will forgive and what they won't forget. Yeah, so I mean, Nick's case is an unfortunate, great example of self-destruction. And as we've been pointing out the entire stream, self-destruction can come in multiple ways. And it doesn't have to be just drugs, it doesn't have to be alcohol or sex, and because all three of them are in Nick's case. But it can be anything. It could be, I mean, hell, like I said, I'm very much addicted to work, to do work. If I'm told, we just want you to sit here quietly in a room, I would be irritated. I would be severely irritated. Because if you give me nothing to do, it really drives me crazy. Is this the new song? I think it is. Yes. If you drug your kids and you weren't in the right mind and wouldn't have done it any other time, I think kids should be taken away for unsafe. Essentially, it does. This song, because I turned it up a little bit, I literally created this today when I was trying to create music for an upcoming stream, and the words didn't work for that stream, but I love the song. Oh, did I? So, like I said earlier, Friday we're gonna be the song sound great. Yeah, this was technically me getting a song about Final Fantasy VII. Unfortunately, there's like only one reference to FF7 in this song, and it's where it mentions Midgar. That's it. It's a great song though.
Crisis grows in shadows as the darkness calls. Moonlit corridors, your voice cuts through the haze. Lost souls searching for salvation past these days. Fallen soldier, hear the echoes in the night. Fallen soldier, like the demons out of sight. Memories can twist and turn, still we chase the light. Fallen soldier,
It works.
side by side we'll rise, oh rise. There's a flame beneath the cold rain.
Alright, hold on a
Cracks
second.
within the walls. Crisis grows in shadows as the darkness calls. Moonlit corridors, your voice cuts through the haze. Lost soul searching
What's going on here?
salvation
Huh.
past these days.
Oh, did it reverse?
Fallen soldier,
Yeah, it did. Okay, that's what it is.
in the night. Fallen soldier, with the demons out of sight. Memories can twist and turn, still we chase the light. Fallen soldier, side by side we'll rise, oh rise.
So, one of the things I came up with, about a few days ago was, from now on, I'm going to try and have when we do a new game, or any game in our game streams, we're going to have a song for that game. Fallen Soldier, I tried to have it do a story or do a song that's based off of, come up with a song that was based in Cloud's story. And that's why it's called Fallen Soldier, because Cloud is the fallen soldier in the story of Final Fantasy VII. But with only mentioning Midgar once, giving the AI on that, because these are AI songs, at least performed. Some of them are written, but this one was fully AI created. It definitely was not a good one. Which sock falls? I need to remember which one shoe falls off. Shoe falls off of. Okay, I need to fix his legs too. So, hold on a second. Is that the right foot? No, it's the left foot. So, he's upside down there. That's the wrong foot. Okay. I figured as much. So that's the foot without the shoe. But, yeah. I mean, Friday we tried to do, because Stardew wasn't working, we already had a Stardew song. I tried to, oh, I see now. He's face down. Yes. He's face down with his hips in a position that technically would not be comfortable, but also probably be broken. And part of this, the joke of this story, of this chapter, is a lot of the football team is going to be destroyed by accident, of letting this golem, and then eventually, during the game, have the main cast using magic in the middle of a football game, on the field as the game is played. So it's like, okay, how do I represent this? Awkward positions, powerful attacks, hitting people, and this is the first of many to come between this chapter and where the story ends in the next chapter. And it's probably not going to be fully outreached. But yeah. My skill as a writer and an artist, how I would probably handle if I wrote a character in the situation of Nick and his wife. They definitely would be destructive characters. I don't know. Well, I mean, narratively, I'd probably kill one off. Which is the case that they're running more and more danger of doing, of killing themselves off, either through intention or letting the damaging decisions take its toll. So if they don't take the wake-up call soon, I would not be surprised to hear people be like, oh, Nick's dead, or his wife's dead, or something else. I would not be surprised. It literally is a matter of just self-destruction. Drug addiction is so sad because it's so hard to come. Yeah. And I mean, earlier I gave the story about the one family member who it killed her and pretty much killed one of my great aunts. That's how I was connected to him. That and the fact that my parents had to be the overseers of the mess that was behind, and wasn't nice to clean up in multiple ways. And then I have an individual in my family that sold drugs. I don't know if they still do. They are no longer part of the family. But I almost guarantee his selling of drugs is the reason why one of his sons was a drug addict. Because we like to think, oh, it can, if it's not seen by the kids, then they have a chance. Like, no, it can very much end up in bad situations for everybody around. I know I come from the 80s when DARE program was a big thing. The whole, don't be square, don't do drugs. Blah, 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 blah. I don't care if you do drugs, but if you involve somebody else, and especially children, be it yours or somebody else's, there's no forgiving you at that point. There really isn't. I may find peace at some point with him, but it's a matter of they have to come to their own decision to clear up. So sorry. So, yeah, I mean, it's I've been on this earth for almost 46 years at this point, and I've watched it destroy people. I haven't caught up to any of the people from high school except for one. When I was growing up, and I mean, I try to always forgive no matter what. This philosophy, apologies accepted, trust is not. You can forgive. You can forgive, but you cannot forgive until they forgive themselves. They have to. There's a reason why acceptance is the first step in any of the recovery plans. You have to accept that you have a problem first. Then we can talk about forgiveness. Because forgiveness doesn't happen until you can accept that you have the problem. And Nick doesn't want, currently it seems like he doesn't want to acknowledge he has a problem. Because you wouldn't go on and call out the social services person in your case online if you forgave yourself. If you're like, oh, I'm getting over it, which he didn't. He didn't. And so the situation's a mess. And that's what's more damaging of his situation. That's why he's gonna probably lose his kids. And it's pretty sure. Handling the paperwork end as part of my daily tasks with my job. Yeah. You see it all the time. It's so-and-so lost custody of their kids because they had a drug problem and went to jail. Or they just had a drug problem and the parents were violent or something else. And I have to fill all of those cases into the public record, and it's not fun. It's one of the bad parts of my job. Now, there is a worse part with my job. If I was handling the state's death records, I'd probably be like, that is the worst part of it. Because a lot of that is, oh, this poor individual died. But, I talked about the case last week that came across my desk of a individual who was 44 who got a 15-year-old pregnant with twins. It's stuff like that pisses me off and makes my job hell when I have to do those cases. None of us in that environment want to see those cases come across our desk. And I can guess all day, night about that case. I don't know the situation, but more than likely in that particular case, rape was probably involved. And it's disturbing. Let's see here. Why am I moving stuff? I gotta do. What was the color of his pants? Shorts. There we are. I made shoes light color. The random football player that will get a name when I type in the bubble. Well, I'm off now. I may come back. If I don't, God bless and good night. Good night. We only have about 20 minutes left in the stream anyway. And actually, I might cut it a little short before then. Simply because, yes, I am in pain. I'm having a bleeding time for me, which is internal. And, the only way to deal with that is to get some rest. Oh, did I put that on the... Yeah, I did. Okay. What the? Oh, there must be a white border over here. That must be it. Yeah, okay, that's what it is. But yeah, we're gonna wind down here. Again, we had technical issues Friday, with Stardew. I know most of my viewers right now, come for Stardew. But, we may come back to Stardew to do more playthrough. I plan to, but at the same time, we've got to admit if there's technical difficulties, I have to just keep going with other stuff. It's like we can't delay every stream with technical difficulties. Now, health issues, that's another story. But, I mean, I am far from the pinnacle of health in my life.
Unspoken words, feeling lost, but knowing it hurts. We laugh, we cry, we're there for each other, but behind it all, we're secret lovers in the shadows.
But yeah, we'll have some fun with stuff and whatnot. I did want to do Fallout 4. It's just gonna have to go on the list for something we'll play live another time when we have better equipment. The problem with the Fallout 4, I was doing some tests before I was gonna go live with it, and the tests, without me even having the stream run, was going way too slow. So it's not a good time to choose that. Any game technically had a certain element of not being prepared. So we'll do better with some smaller stuff until we can get something more solid going. But we will be, if we do not have Stardew, we will be playing Final Fantasy VII. We'll start up Final Fantasy VII, the original. But I say the original, but we will have mods. Mostly graphic. I'd say musical, but at the same time, the most copyright struck gaming streams I had were Square. So, owned. So, if we play 7, there will not be music for 7. There technically isn't voice acting anyway, so we don't have to worry about that. We're gonna do the voice acting. There is a mod for voice acting, or with voice acting, for 7, the original game. I hate that I also have to say original. But one day we'll probably play remake as well. If I can get the damn card working, I can play it on PlayStation 4, but we need to get it so that it's playable on a higher power system. Anyway, so, but we'll do a remake at some point. Just like we'll do Hogwarts Legacy and 1 or 2 other games on the list. Baldur's Gate is on that list. Maybe we'll play. Yeah, maybe one of those games I can add to the list will be the original Baldur's Gate and Baldur's Gate 2. We can play those probably on stream and have no problem. Other than just rough time playing those games. I have flashbacks to Baldur's Gate, the original. Baldur's Gate 1. I have so many flashbacks to a bad time with them. Not like horrible, it's like, just not being good at the game. Yeah, I think we're at the last 15, so I think we're gonna call it here. We got a few panels done. We didn't get much done. Again, we're gonna have Demon Blade and Witchin on a break the first 2 weeks of July. So this weekend will be the last drop for both of those comics to have a page before it goes on break for at least 2 weeks. I might do a full month. It depends. Patreon sponsors, however, will continue to get it. I just kind of want to be like a month ahead of the releases in case I get sick. So it's just sort of the case to it. On track right now. Let's see, 20 more pages. We may get chapter 10 of Demon Blade complete before New Year. So we may be starting chapter 11 in 2025. And if we keep on a weekly pace, then we'll have chapter 12, which is the start of the fight of the arc. Really, or most of the fight in the arc happens in chapter 12, and 13 will be the ending of the arc. So we got that. We covered this, so I'm just gonna end it with the same way we always say, and it kind of goes out. This message goes stronger out to Nick and his wife. Try to be the best person that you can be. If you're in a situation like with Nick, try to be a better person. It takes one little move to get away from these dark situations. And I wish them all the luck in their case. And it does. My heart kind of does break for them. self-inflicted wounds in life are problematic. And this is a drug, sex, alcohol, self-inflicted wound. I was trying to have a better topic next week. Well, actually, we know what the topic is next week. It's America. Because it's the 4th, we'll talk about it. Until then, have a wonderful evening, a wonderful week, and a wonderful year. Good night, everybody. We got a new closer.